How can a loving God send people to hell? Now, as you can imagine, this is a big question and one that has many layers to it. So let me just look at one aspect, and it's the aspect of divine judgment. Heaven and hell are in part about divine judgment. Now, just think about that term. We don't really, that doesn't really bring happy feelings to us or warm, fuzzy feelings when we think divine judgment. But I want to suggest that actually when we really explore what that means, we actually see that as a good thing and something that we want. Now, if you look to the scriptures, there are many moments in which God does execute justice. In that, actually, all of the parts in which God executes justice are parts that people get excited about. They are happy. Think about the Old Testament or New Testament. People who are oppressed, whenever they heard of God executing justice, they went from a state of despondency to hope. Psalm 96 and Psalm 98, if you're not familiar with the Bible, I would still encourage you to just look these up. Both of those passages of Scripture talk about God executing justice, God ruling justly. That's the term that is used. Those are verses that brought hope, exuberant hope, to people who were in the Jewish community at the time, people who were oppressed, because it told them that actually, yes, things are not going well right now. Yes, you are facing oppression, but in the end, God will execute justice and there will be a fair result. Something interesting is actually Psalm 98, a passage of Scripture that is full of this theme of God executing divine judgment. It inspired Isaac Watts, the famous songwriter, to write and pen Joy to the World. Now just think about that song for a moment. That is not one that actually we get down about. It actually is instead a song that brings hope and joy to us. Now, just hold that thought for a moment, because many of us might say, well, okay, I think I can agree with that. I think I can buy into that. But we don't know in the end. I mean, for all we know, the end could be a very bad ending. Who's to say that actually in the end it will still be like that? Well, we have hints and signposts that we find in Scripture that tell us what the end will be like. Revelation, which is actually the name of the book at the end of the Bible, gives us many pictures that correspond to what the end will look like. Nowhere in the book of Revelation do we hear words like, God, you were not fair. In the end, you are not fair. Instead, we hear words stating, just and true are your ways. Just and true are your ways. So I want to suggest, just as a starting point, when we think about this question of God sending people to hell, I want to suggest to you that heaven and hell are a matter of divine judgment. And divine judgment is actually a good thing. It's something we long for. And in the end, God will rule justly. He will execute judgment.